The Hash It Out Show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I am your host, JB, the sports guy. We got a good one for you all tonight. We are going to be talking about last devastating loss that the LSU women's basketball team suffered at the hands of Caitlinclark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Before we get into that, I want to introduce my co-host that you can find on Crescent City Time. Yeah, the one and only GP George Peppers. What's going on, George Peppers?
Playing a little hurt tonight, but I'm here with you guys. We're gonna have a good show tonight. That little spring cold kicking into gear. Boy, is it doing it to me too.
And we also got the one and
Uh-oh.
only BK Jones. What's up, BK?
What's going on, people? Like, tag, share, and subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms and log on to the hashitoutshow.com. We thank you for joining us. All fan bases that are here tonight, all social media that is here tonight. We've been seeing y'all active like crazy after last night's events. But tonight, we want y'all to interact with us. We want you to come with your comments, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is an interactive show, and we got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack.
Well, let's unpack it. Let's get into it. Last night was the national championship rematch. Everyone was calling it between LSU and the Iowa Hawkeyes. And this time, LSU came up on the short end of the stick, losing to Iowa 94-87. Caitlinclark finishes with 41 points and over 10 assists. I would believe she had 12 assists. Big game for Caitlinclark. LSU does not repeat as champions, as we all know. Had players score in double digits, but still was not enough. George Peppers, I'm going to start with you. Your thoughts about this game that happened last night?
Where do we start when you talk about last night's game? I mean, the build up and the hype, it lived up to it because I don't know if you guys saw, but this thing broke records out of the wazoo. 12.3 million viewers last night. It is the most watched women's basketball game ever. And you kind of expected that. But I feel like to start, let me go right to it. The defensive alignment LSU put out, I thought, to me, they had the wrong person sticking Caitlin Clark and Haley Van Lith. I mean, she was on her. For me, the person that has played the best defense in this tournament for LSU is Flau'jae Johnson. You've got a legit scorer in Caitlin Clark. You need a disruptor. She didn't have that last night. And I get Flau'jae is not as tall as Caitlin. Caitlin is what, 6'2", and Flau'jae is, I believe, 5'10". So she's got a few
And
inches on
Florida
her.
is actually,
But
and Florida is actually
what right, she's athletic and she's gifted, and she has played great in the tournament. Flau'jae Johnson has been really, really good for this LSU team in the tournament. Offensively, they got off to a white hot start, shot 60 something percent in the first quarter.
and
Uh-oh.
we lost George VK. I'll let you go. We'll get George back in a minute. George, not
Mm.
again, George. Go ahead, VK. Oh, hold on,
Well,
VK.
you know,
Hold on.
oh, here you come. Here you
Hold
come.
on, VK.
Let it get back.
I'm here. It just decided
Go
to
ahead.
reload on me at the last second. Ain't this just lovely? Feels like VK's bracket, all kind of missing. Just saying. All right, I'm being messy, Long Beach. I'm sorry, Long Beach. But um, what was I talking about? The alignment, LSU, the game, the way it played out. The difference in this game was the third quarter. Iowa was able to gain separation and force LSU to chase. And LSU has been good at coming back a lot in the last couple of years, making those runs, but it never felt like it was going to happen last night. It really didn't. Iowa just shot the ball extremely well. They were able to get 94 points. That's crazy. LSU had won, I think, 72 in a row, scoring 80 points in a game they would score 80. They they never hadn't lost in the last 72 games. So that streak snapped last night. They got 87. So, in that vein, look, credit Lisa Bluter in Iowa for the game plan, and really, it felt like, and I hate to say this, VK, but I feel like Iowa played with a little bit more urgency when the game mattered in the second half, and LSU kind of stayed in place. I didn't see that step of intensity that normally we would see from LSU. I just saw a team that stayed in place in the second half, in Iowa, knowing they had the chip on their shoulder from what happened last year in the championship and the embarrassment of the last year. They played with a little more intensity when they needed to, and I didn't see that from the Tigers.
Go ahead, VK.
Well, what? Well, one of the few times I can definitely say, and Kim Mulkey is awesome, awesome coach and everything. This is the one time I have to criticize her a bit. She was very much outcoached in this ball game last night from the get go. I mean, you look at all the strategies in the game and all that stuff, and Lisa Blunder really had a great game plan. And on top of that, the defense and everything else, like Haley Van Lith, you got to be kidding me, Kim Mulkey. You got to be kidding me. Not knocking how good, like Haley has been a nice addition, but from the jump, going against a Caitlin Clark, you have to put your best possible defensive player on Caitlin Clark to just not have anything easy for her. And if you seen from the jump that how bad it got from the first quarter, it's almost like, okay, make the change now, adjust. None. The whole game, Haley Van Lith, all of us like, and you look at the whole thing. You look at it in itself. Caitlin Clark played a great all around game. It wasn't just a 41. 7-3, like what it was, 7 threes, 12 assists, and her and two other of her supporting cast in double figures. That's huge there. And we see a lot of the bugaboos from LSU caught up with him this time. It caught up with him big time there. And for Iowa, they did everything possible and deserved to win that game. They really did. They outplayed the Tigers. They got it done. They got their payback. And now they're back into the Final Four.
It's my turn. My turn. Let me dig into this real deep right now, ladies and gentlemen. The game started off with a three-pointer made by Caitlinclark, and Haley Van Lith went underneath the screen. When you have a shooter that can shoot like Caitlin Van Clark, you go over the screen. You don't go underneath it because you're giving the shooter space to shoot the ball. That's what they want. She went under the screen like the first 3 plays. And I'm screaming at the TV, stop going underneath, go over the screen on a jump shooter. If she happened to shoot it and make it when you go over it, okay, you can live with it. But at least you're trying to contest the shot. You're trying. You playing a Steph, Curry, Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart. You go over the top of the screen at all times because they're shooters. You don't give them the space where they can shoot. It's what they want. Number 2, everybody getting on Haley about her defense, but I'm sorry. What did Poor do? And then everybody also saying it should have been Flau'jae. I'm sorry. When Flau'jae was on her, Flau'jae was on skates. She was so jumpy as if she was scared to defend. I don't know who could have defended Caitlin Clark, but I'm going to say this. Every time to run that pick and roll, I would have had, if it was Angel, Anissa Morrow, I would have had them hedge and double right then and there to get the ball out of our hands. I would have doubled her right then and there every time I ran a pick and roll. I would not have given an opportunity to have a pick run to where she can drive to the hoop and lay it up or shoot a 3. Caitlin Clark didn't shoot one mid last night. Not one. It was all layups and 3-pointers. Go back, look it up. Number 2, Anissa Morrow was not given the ball enough. Let's be real. That is LSU's best player this year. It's not Angel Reese. It's Anissa Morrow. She was not given the ball enough at all. Not enough touches. The game plan should have been get the ball inside to the post more. Angel had 17 points, 20 rebounds. All her points were in the post. But it wasn't enough. They were shooting jumpers like crazy, and we know LSU, once again, is not a good jump shooting team. Your best jump shooter is Michaela Williams. And guess what? That's your best jump shooter. But why all of her jump shots got to be one-on-one? Why aren't you having Michaela run around and catch it and shoot the ball off of a pick? Why we don't have that? There was not enough ball movement last night on offense. Not at all. It's like the same thing was being go to the 3-point line, and she trying to pass it to Angel. Just not a movement to get the offense moving. It was stagnant a lot. It was stagnant. And it just didn't flow well with them. Just didn't flow well. So yeah, Haley getting a lot of heat for defense, but that's part of coaching, man. That's part of coaching also. Okay, you could have. I think Flau'jae would have got cooked. Paul was getting cooked, but when they run that pick and roll, bam, collapse on her, double team. She ain't got nowhere to go, and she gotta pass the ball. Make the other 4 beat you. Don't have her get her game going off. She's able to make the other team better. And last but not least, defensively, my God, how many they have to where LSU didn't defense? Nobody's sprinting back. Y'all giving them points. I did say last but not least, but now for real, last but not least, and I'm going to say this, and I want to let y'all respond. Any team that wins the rebound margin by 18, and any team that has 23 offensive rebounds should never lose a game. That's LSU. You have to capitalize on those opportunities. 23 offensive rebounds? That second chance points, you got to capitalize. And they did not last night. George.
Well, George had little technical difficulties. There you go now.
Go ahead, VK.
So you make valid points about everything that you've just said. And I was about to bring up the 55-36 rebound margin. It was actually 19. And you mentioned a 20 plus offensive rebounds. I don't know a team in Division One that loses a basketball game with those numbers, but LSU did. Why? Because their defensive flaws showed up last night, and VK hit it on it. Kim Mulkey got out coached last night. I think she banked on, well, they're going to do to them what they did to them last year. Iowa made adjustments. Iowa changed a lot of their philosophical stuff defensively. Um, when they needed stops, they got them. They knew they were going to get their brains beaten on the boards, right? So they did, but they compensated in other ways. You know, the help scoring came from others than Caitlin. Sydney, can't think of her last name. The other guard, I think, she had a decent game for them. They got enough contributions, and they were able to get it done. With that being said, Iowa, congratulations. You're on to Cleveland, LSU. You've got to retool.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with George. They have to retool. They have to definitely get it together and everything else. And wow, how many, like, that's a rarity, but sometimes that happens when a team with one big stat that stands out and all of a sudden they lose the ball game, and looking at it, LSU, like Kim Mulkey said after the game, if they learn from this loss, we will be back next year. But we will see what happens. But at the same time, now we're Hawkeyes. They got their payback and they earned their way. And we'll see what happens going forward. But man, what a performance by Iowa. And hey, the LSU Tigers, they gotta have to really take their losses. It's gonna be an interesting offseason. An interesting offseason to see what happens with the Tigers going forward. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Well, let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about next season and what needs to happen. And I'm going to go first. Angelreese needs to come back next season. Hands down. Why does he need to come back? Number one, Angelreese might not be a top 10 pick in the draft. And why is that? Because offensively, her game liability. Offensively. Yeah, she gets under the goal and she throws it up and makes it, yeah, but there's really not any skill moves for her in the post. She needs to develop that. So she needs to come another year. And LSU needs her leadership for another year. And I think she comes back. She has the possibility of being a lottery draft pick in the WNBA. Number two, let's get on Haley Van Lith right quick. And, Haley Van Lith's been getting a lot of the criticism. Haley Van Lith was a big-time scorer at Louisville. And she comes to LSU. Of course, she has to make sacrifices when you're playing with Angel, Anissa, Flau'jae. You got to make sacrifices. It is. But I don't think Haley ever found her niche with this group of talented women. I just don't think it ever happened. And then, man, I saw Haley play Louisville for 3 years, and Haley was a pure jump shooter. And this year, it just wasn't there. And I know she made the switch from shooting guard to point guard, but man, like when I say Haley is not a bad offensive player, she's really not. This year just wasn't the year. So she got a decision to make. Does she come back next year also? Or does she go into the WNBA? That's a decision she has to make. LSU needs depth, bro. They need depth. They don't have no depth. They're playing a 7-girl rotation. And that's with Paul off the bench and Del Rosario. And Poe is gone. Poe is gone next year. She ain't coming back. She's done. Del Rosario needs a lot of work, offensively and defensively. Period. She needs a lot of work. So they already went to the transfer portal, and I cannot remember her name. She's 6'5". She's coming in from Arkansas. One of the players Kim Mulkey has was hurt for ACL. She'll be back next season. So let's say if right now Flau'jae Morrow comes back, Angel Reese comes back, Flau'jae Morrow and Angel, and Michaela Williams. Let's say they come back, right? Point guard position is open if Haley's not coming back. And I believe with Jada Richard coming in, she will fill that role. I know Coach Mulkey wants her to be more of an assist person, but can she be someone that can still score the ball and still be able to find an open teammate? Because we've seen Jada Richard play, and Jada Richard can play. She is a great jump shooter. She can get to the hole. One of the best ball handlers you will see in a college game next year. If Haley, I don't think LSU will lose anything if Haley Van Lith leaves and Jada Richard comes in. But at the same time, you need depth, and she got to find a couple more jump shooters. Jada Richard to be one, get another one from the transfer portal. Needs a couple more jump shooters that can shoot the basketball. You can't rely on Michaela Williams being the best jump shooter on the team. You need a couple more. The team last year couldn't, but they shot their best ever in the championship game. Go ahead, George.
I was just about to say, but here's where we're going to disagree. I don't think Angel's coming back. I think that the projections of her in the WNBA are that she will be a first-round pick. I think the lure of it is going to put her in there. I think top 6. If she's in that 6, 7 area, she'll be fine. She'll go. Go ahead.
Let me stop you. One second. All right, I don't think she's going, but she's going to make more money with NIL next year than going to the WNBA.
She will.
You still think so?
You're right. And look, that's another debate, though. See, that's another debate, though. You're talking about NIL and WNBA salaries. We know this. Angel's a millionaire already 5 times over. We know this already. So that debate to me is hogwash to me. I think it's really not necessary. I think it's more, there's a little bit of bitterness, not so much from Angel to LSU. I feel like, a lot of this stuff was created this year. What happened with her? Remember when she had the issues early in the season, and then when she got herself together, and whatnot. And look, I feel like Angel Reese is a double every night. That to me is a given. I would love for her to come back. And watching that post game presser last night and her emotion, her raw emotion she showed, because she played with it. She turned her ankle early in that game and played pretty much on one leg the rest of the night and did what she did. She's a gamer. I love what Angel Reese brings to this team, but how could you not be excited? And look, the 3 of us have seen Jada Richard play. We know what she can do. And here's what I got to say to you, Kim Mulkey, head coach, LSU. I will never question you. You've got 6 national championships, 2 as a player, 4 as a coach. I will never question you. But do not change Jada Richard at all. Do not change what she is. She is a scorer. She is a distributor, and she can play face-up defense. Is she tall? No. But she could get in your face and really distract you, VK. And I feel like if she compromises her, and I think that's what happened with Haley Van Lith this year, because Haley was a sniper at Louisville. She was a pure scorer at Louisville.
Yes.
At LSU, that wasn't her role. That was not her role. And I think Mulkey tried to change it to compensate. It didn't work. Look what happened. Haley had some miserable performances at some points this year. Defensively last night was very haggard. But VK, Jada Richard shows up in Baton Rouge. The first thing you do is, hey, Jada, I know you're a freshman. Here's the keys. Make this thing go. Simple as that. Don't change her at all.
Very much agreed on that. And I think Jada Richard is going to be a huge addition. I really think she's going to spark LSU to a huge run next year. I think Haley Van Lit, I think she's going to transfer. I really think she's going to get out of here. I think she's going to go somewhere else that she'll be more assertive than anything else. So I think
Yep.
she's going to be out of here. And I think Angel Reese will return because I really think, in my mind, not just the NIL, I think then you look at the human side of Angel Reese, but at the same time, when you look at certain things and everything, some of the stuff that happened with Angel, some of that she put it on herself a little bit because you have to think when you have
Yeah.
all that attention and
Mhm.
everything else, and you don't balance it. And sometimes you learn, you live and you learn when you try to balance and everything. And I think this is a big, hard lesson that Angel Reese has learned more than anything else. That, all the attention that you're trying to balance from the off season to now and everything else.
Right.
And another thing you have to understand, and I didn't know this, and I've seen a couple shows today. Do you know Angel Reese puts a crown by her seat before every game? I
They put
understand
the
that's
crown on her head
confidence.
before every game. Every game.
Exactly.
They put the crown on her head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But when you have to fit the crown, you better bring it every time. And I think this season she did good, but I think she's gonna be a lot more hungrier next year when she comes back and understands more than anything else. Like she'll keep that confidence, but I wouldn't be surprised we ain't gonna see the crown. We ain't gonna see too much. She gonna have that hunger
You gonna
so
see.
much in her
You gonna
heart
see.
that she go, no, not nah. I think it's like we didn't seen this with certain athletes before. We didn't seen this with certain athletes before. That I'm saying this. Let me say this, Jared and George. Know what I'm talking about. We didn't seen certain athletes that sometimes they not just cocky, but the confidence so high, but they have a moment that they get humbled, and all of a sudden they get so humbled they're like next year, okay, we need to change this up a bit. We need to change a little bit up a little bit. I'm gonna still have my confidence, but I got to scale back on some things. See, LeBron James had to do a zero dark 30 sometime in the playoffs. Took himself out of social media for a minute. Focus on what's going on going forward.
That's for sure.
So that's the biggest thing with Angel Reese here. I think she comes back, but I think she's gonna be more focused and ready to go. And if she's more focused and ready to go, we gonna have more of a killer instinct than we ever did with Angel Reese. And LSU gonna be a little more killer instinct next year too. That's the biggest thing that was missing with this LSU team this year.
I'm gonna start with LeBron's Euro Dog 30. That was for show. Crown is also for show.
Now,
But I'm not asking Angel to change her ways with it. I'm not asking Angel to change her ways. I want Angel to be Angel. And you got to do the crown every day. If that's your type of motivation, do it. Do it every day. But I do agree with you. I really think Angel's coming back next year. We'll know tomorrow for sure. Tomorrow's a deadline for anybody to enter the WNBA draft. But I think we'll know tomorrow. Other than that, she comes back. Anissa Morrow comes back. You have Florida. You have Michaela Williams. LSU will be strong once again. It will be a strong team, a tough team to beat. A little bit more depth. And the question mark is if Angel returns and Haley doesn't return, does Jada Richard get the keys to run the point guard position for LSU? But tough loss for LSU last night. Not what we wanted. But you can't win them all. But before we hit this commercial break, you have to be happy of the job Kim Mulkey has done since she got there, VK.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, this is the only time I would ever do a little criticism with Kim Mulkey, but she's done wonders at LSU. And I think what she said last night was real and real. So we definitely get it. And I think Kim Mulkey probably learned a lesson last night. So I think that's going to make her more hungry to get her team ready and everything else. It's going to be interesting with her to get LSU prepared next season because, you look at two coaches that's in a situation in itself. That's Kim Mulkey at LSU, and I believe the coach's name is Lisa Gottlieb at USC. Those are the two coaches are in a similar situation. That I tell you one thing, LSU and USC. Now LSU, we got to see what happens with the decisions tomorrow. USC, and you have to understand this. USC is losing one senior. You got Juju back, and they got the number one recruiting class in the country coming next year. Whoo! Both of these schools, that's going to be something else to see what happens. But I think Kim has done great work here at LSU.
George Peppers.
Remember this feeling, LSU Lady Tigers, to all the players and the coaches. Remember this feeling. That should be the fuel that drives you for 2024 to 25. Remember this feeling. You do not want to walk off a floor saying, damn it, we left it on we didn't leave it enough. We didn't do enough. And you could kick yourself right in the derriere. Okay. And that's what LSU did last night. Remember this feeling. But you mentioned about the deadline for the WNBA draft is tomorrow. Okay, that's going to tell a lot of the off season what happens with Angel. I personally hope she comes back because, using a little WrestleMania theme weekend, she can finish the story for LSU next year. She could be a very integral part of finishing the story they want to tell. Put their narrative and stop letting knuckleheads writing disparaging articles. Don't let that be you. You and your team define what LSU women's basketball needs to be. Kim Mulkey is an elite coach, one of the best we've ever had in the history of women's basketball. She is in that pedestal. 6 titles tells you that. 2 as a player, 3 at Baylor, 1 at LSU. This woman is an icon. This ain't the way to go. All right. This is not the way to lose. Not to an Iowa team that, with all due respect, has Caitlin Clark and supporters. That's what they have. I don't know if Iowa's one of the best 4 teams in the country. I feel like they are in the discussion, but that's what beat you. You had all stars on your roster, and it never really clicked. And VK brought up something earlier about Angel Reese. We never got a definitive answer as to what got her suspended. Never. Nothing came out that was so buttoned down. We got no clarity that I could think of. There were people saying it was grades. There were people saying she wasn't happy. It was a lot of speculation. And I don't remember if we got any definitive clarity as to why she missed time. I can't think of a legit reason. I mean, and then when they got their ways about them, you still got to beat South Carolina next year. You still got to beat them. They're in the discussion because of Dawn Staley and with those players and what they get. They could recruit by snapping fingers. They're that good recruiting South Carolina. They just find talent from anywhere, and that's Dawn Staley. You still got to figure out how to beat those young ladies. You're not gonna have a chance this year, obviously, because your season's done. But I hope for LSU's sake that they do the right things this offseason. If that means Angel Reese comes back, great. If Haley Van Lith leaves, look, I like her as a player. She's a sniper, but they didn't let her be a sniper this year at LSU. She was never a sniper at any game that I could think of. So maybe she needs to move on. Jada Richard, like I said earlier, when she takes the wheel, let her be, Kim Mulkey. Let her be. If anything, we've seen her play. We know what she could do. She's a facilitator and she's a scorer. And she's a pretty good shooter, last I checked. Defensively, she's a very good defender. She's got everything you want. LSU fans, y'all haven't seen her play. We have. And we know what she's gonna bring y'all. Y'all just need to, when she gets there, let her grow. It's a different speed at the collegiate level. It is not high school. Obviously, that's the most obvious statement we're going to make tonight. But LSU has a chance to be special next year if things play right. Angel coming back. And then the other girls, Anisha, Michaela, they grow and they grow another. They grow a little more and take this feeling and remember it and say, I don't want this to happen again. You do that, LSU is going to be really, really strong next year. Facts.
And I'm gonna say this right quick to the media, to the Washington Post, and to the LA Times. What you did was absolutely freaking despicable. Despicable. I'm saying that as a 18-year veteran, a 18-year sports journalist. What you it is not just for LSU, but for all women's college basketball, the disrespect that both of you did, and for the general managers who let those two articles come out. Plain and simple. So the Washington Post and the LA Times, you could take them stories and stick it where the sun don't shine.
And I want to say one more thing. Joyce mentioned about we never got the clarity of why Angel Reese was suspended. I do agree with Kim Mulkey that it's like family and family business. You just stay with family. So I'm kind of glad that didn't come out. So I have to commend Coach Mulkey, and I do commend Coach for her players during the time of these two columns that came out from the Washington Post. And with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back. Is Caitlin the greatest women's college basketball player of all time? We'll debate that next, right here on the Hash It Out Show.
I'm Erica Randolph, head coach of the Hahnville Tigers boys basketball team, and you are watching the Hash It Out Show.
And welcome back to Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, the sports guy, joined by Mr. VK Jones and Mr. George Peppers. So, Clark, probably the best women's college basketball shooter we've ever seen. One of the greatest point guards in women's college basketball history. Is she the greatest of all times? I want to let VK Jones go first and hear his thoughts about it. VK Jones, your thoughts. Is Caitlin Clark the greatest women's college basketball player of all time?
Man, I wanted to be last, but it's all good. They want me to go first. Okay. She is definitely, I can't say she's the greatest of all time, but she's definitely top 5 up there of all time for me. Top 5, close to top 3 because of the fact of what she has done in her career. And you have to think, you look at it like this. Like you look at the tops of the tops right there. Like off the top of the off the riff, you go Cheryl Miller. Cheryl Miller, you have to think first 2 years of her career at UCLA, won 2 national titles, multiple Final Fours with USC. And look where USC, it took a long time for USC to get back to where they are. And then you look at Diana Taurasi the great years over at UConn. One of the few players I can say from UConn that stood out because you look at players like Brianna Stewart and everything else and all these other players. What was good about Brianna was good, but Brianna already had a good team around her. UConn always had good players around each other. Now, Tarazi was one of the few players that really stood out of a loaded UConn team. And I really stood out as a player that just really took off and it's like, hey, she that chick. She's really that chick. You look also at Cheryl Swoops of what she done. And we talking about 1 year. I mean, 1 year leading Texas Tech to a national championship. You look at other players as well, and like Shamiqua Holslaw was unbelievable. Led a led to a couple of national championships, and also led a team that basically was like 3 games over 500 and got them a national championship. It was amazing stuff of what Shamika done and everything. And a lot of other great players up there. But what she has, like to me, what stands out with Caitlin is the fact what she has done with less. I'm always impressed with somebody who's done stuff with less than more. She's done so much and has turned around this Iowa program. Think about it. Back to back Final Fours for the Iowa Hawkeyes. And remember, the Iowa Hawkeyes did not get to the Final Four since 93. And who was coaching in 1993 for the Iowa Hawkeyes? And George Peppers should know who it is. Can you give a guess, Mr. Peppers? You should know.
I should, but my brain's not actually working right now.
Well, legendary head coach who I say his brain's not working.
It isn't.
Well, yeah. It ain't working right now.
I'm being modest. Okay, I
No,
get it.
no, no, I know you are. But I tell you, man, you look at the history, a lot of history
Mhm.
with this Iowa program. Not a lot, but for what Clayton Clark has done, and especially in the past back-to-back years, not just the fact of, and I'm not saying one of the best ever because of the records and stuff like that. The records was just icing on the cake. But what she's done with that program, and I ain't gonna lie, she's done a lot more than like if I tell you if Iowa gets to the national championship, she's definitely past what Jackie Styles has done in 1 year at
Southeast,
South
Southeast Missouri,
South was it
Southwest Missouri, I think.
Southwest Missouri, yeah. Now it's
Mhm.
Missouri State. So it's a fact that she is really good. She's one of the best, but can't call it a go because there's so many others that has topped her. That's definitely near the top 5 for me for Caitlin Clark. She just really has proven herself and proven herself more and more, and especially into the LSU game, really how good she really is. But I can't put her at the top. Just can't do it. But she's definitely near top 5.
Where to
Go
start?
ahead, George.
Where to start, JB? Where to start, sir? If you want to take this, you can, or
Where do
you
you
let me
want to
have it.
start?
I mean, look,
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark has grown, has really opened eyes, and really the reaction. She's in an age where people are watching. Women's basketball is at unprecedented heights with this woman. They want to see her. That crowd last night was packed. It was packed to the gills last night. And 12,300,000 viewers? You didn't get that back in it. Now, look, is it fair to say that? No, it's not. Because Cheryl Miller came in an age when, let's be honest, men looked at women like objects. They looked at them all. They should be in the kitchen and cooking, not playing basketball. There was a lot of that sexism nonsense going on. But Cheryl Miller was a revolutionary for me. And VK brought up Shamiko Holtzclaw. I'm glad you did. 3 straight national championship appearances, 2 wins. Um, And one of those natties, LSU should have beat them in that Final Four. If I remember right, Pokey Chapman was their head coach. They should have beat them and let that game get away. But Shamika was a star. You forgot one stud, superstar from the USC era, not named Cheryl Miller. Lisa Leslie. You forgot about her. She was a transcendent dominant big. You want another transcendent dominant big? Brittany Griner, Baylor. Part of some great, and you mentioned Brianna Stewart and Diana Taurasi. I get that. I get it. I mean, we can debate this all night. Jackie Stiles was a great scorer for a small school. But where is Caitlin Clark in my greatest of all time debate? She's not at the top because I'm going to show my age. I'm 53. I feel like Cheryl Miller challenged men, and she was not afraid to. That woman was every bit the dominant player that we saw, that we know. And look, it's not fair to her because there was no pro league. You know, the pro leagues back in those days was across the pond. And she didn't want to do all that. You know, going to Russia, going to Germany, Spain, or any of these other countries that had women's basketball. But you know what? It was almost non existent back then, pro leagues. I mean, so where were the options? Could she have played in the NBA? No, probably not. I mean, she was fearless. But Caitlin's not the GOAT for me. I mean, she's a great player. And I brought this up in the chat, but is it fair to bring it up now? You know, everybody wants to put Caitlin Clark on a pedestal. There's a young lady that played last night after the LSU game, and she ransacked USC in a very big way. Paige Beckers, 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks. She affected that game in many, many ways. Caitlin, what is her biggest strength? She's a scorer and a distributor. Is she a great board crasher? Not really. She's a good assist person and a good scorer. Paige has the more diverse package. And I'm not saying she's better. And I'll bring the what if up, Jared, and you could pick it up from here. What if she didn't tear her ACL twice? Where is Paige Buchers in this discussion if she doesn't tear her ACL? You're getting a glimpse of it now, and you're getting a very, 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 very big glimpse of it. Now they're in the Final Four. They get Iowa Friday night. So, but Caitlin is a great player, and she's going to do great things at the next level. She's going to grow the WNBA as it's already grown. I mean, last year you had New York and Las Vegas play for the title, and the ratings that got, whew, crazy numbers. What is Caitlin going to bring to the WNBA as far as ratings? Can they increase? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, if Angel Reese goes to the draft, she's going to be another one that brings the numbers up. And Alston Tyler, I see the comment. Is she the greatest shooter in women's college basketball? That's debatable too. I think she's up there. But Caitlin, look, if any of you guys think that we're questioning the greatness of Caitlin Clark, don't. We know she's great. But is she the greatest is the question. And my answer is no, Jared.
My answer is no also. And let me do this comparison right quick. I'm going to give you 2 players from the NBA, LeBron James and Curry. Who's better? Give me your answers.
Brian.
Man, I want to say Steph, but I want to say Steph, but I'm not that stupid. LeBron is the versatility of LeBron James. Steph's not a great defender. He's a great shooter, and he's a great distributor. But LeBron does everything, so I would have to say LeBron James.
Now, here's another question: who's more exciting to watch, or LeBron?
Well, back then it was LeBron, but you know, Steph has just been unbelievable. To be honest with you, it's like, to me, both. To be honest with you,
Oh, that's a political answer. Go
Sure.
ahead.
it's either way.
Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
Very
I
political.
get you, but my answer is very simple. It's LeBron James, and why? because you get in these tangents where LeBron takes over games and Steph shoots his team into games, but he could also shoot them out of games too. Give me LeBron. That I remember the
So
25 points in a
y'all,
row.
you say LeBron more exciting to watch than Steph Curry.
Curry shoots the ball from all over the
Steph can just pull
floor.
up on the logo and hit it,
Exactly, he could throw it up from
and
half
he make
court,
it like it's
three-quarter
nothing.
court, and hit. Exactly, he's Kevin Love part two. Well, Kevin Love's a fluke shooter, but anyway. Um, but LeBron, because he could Steph take over a game like LeBron can and impact every aspect of the game, defensively, rebounding. You know what I'm saying? That's where I think the difference lies. They both could
Yeah,
score.
but
They're sensational
you
scorers.
say, yeah, but you're saying stuff that pretty much says why he's better. I'm just looking at it as excitement wise. If I want to buy a ticket to watch LeBron or Steph, let's get back to the conversation at hand about Caitlin Clark.
All right.
Yes, she will remember as one of the best, one of the greatest of all time. Is she the greatest of all time? No. There's no way I have her over Cheryl Miller. I don't have her over Maya Moore, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart. I don't have her over them. I mean, could she be in my top 10? Yeah, maybe, but no, that's the greatest women's college basketball player. One of them, but the greatest? No, 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 no. Say you can put Cynthia Cooper in there. You say Cynthia Cooper. We got Cheryl Swoops. I mean, the impact of women's college basketball that she has had, along with others like Paige Becker and Angel Reese, Juju Watkins coming in, has been phenomenal. It's been great. But no, not the greatest. Not the greatest at all. And the greatest that I said that I have before her all have found a way to win the championships. Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, and Maya Moore, and all of them that I said. So no, I don't think she's the greatest ever. She's one of the greatest, but I do think she is the most exciting player to watch in college basketball right now, men and women. Period. Because yeah, once you heard about the female Steph Curry, oh, I gotta see who this is. My good friend, Blue Jackson. Yeah, I told him, man, it's the female Steph Curry. He didn't believe it. So he turned on and watched for himself, and he was like, yeah, this is like Steph Curry as a woman. And yeah, greatest shooter in women's college basketball, I'll say yes. And we've seen a lot of great shooters from Kelsey Plum and even Sabrina Ionescu. But Caitlin Clark from the logo making threes. So yes, she is a player in college basketball. And you might be able to say the most exciting player of all time in women's college basketball. And give her that title. Greatest ever? No, I'm not gonna say that. I just think overall players, like I said earlier, Cheryl Miller, Cheryl Swoops, Maya Moore, and Taurasi, they are better on both sides of the ball. And I think even Maya Moore had more skills of getting to the hoop, had a little post-up game, even had a little fadeaway to shoot the three, was better. I have to say those are ranked higher me than Caitlin Clark. Not knocking Caitlin Clark because he's going to go down as one of the greatest. No, not at all. But most exciting, I will say that. I will
Let
say that.
me ask you
Go
both.
ahead, VK.
Let me
What you
ask
got
you
for me?
both this question.
Go ahead, George.
Let me ask you both this question. I think you just piggybacked on something I want to bring up. Let's go hypothetical. Let's say Iowa beats UConn. Legend Gino Auriemma, right? Won a boatload of natties. Then she gets to the title game and beats South Carolina again. Where is she now? If she does this, because she doesn't have a ring yet. She doesn't have a national championship. But let's say they beat combination of UConn and let's face it, South Carolina's going to get to the final. They're not losing to NC State. NC State admirable run, beat a heck of a Texas team to get here, but South Carolina's going to dog walk that team. Let's say they beat South Carolina twice because they beat them last year in the semifinal in the Final Four. Does Caitlin Clark accelerate up the list with a ring?
Yes, absolutely. Because you have to think. You have to think about this because
A little bit.
if right now, like you mentioned Lisa Leslie George, Lisa Leslie did not crack even the Elite Eight with USC.
Nope.
So thank you on that one. So she passed that. Now, people like a Cheryl Swoops, she passes Cheryl Swoops because what Cheryl Swoops done, awesome player, but probably one of the best 1 year runs we ever seen. This is a 3 year run for Caitlin Clark. 3 year run. Really 4 year run. She has taken Iowa to the NCAA's 4 years in a row, 2 straight years to the Final Four. And that's amazing in itself. I think if she wins the national championship, yes, she's iced herself as top 5 all time. But at the same time, she's not going to pass some of the greats we mentioned, but she'll be right there in the top 5. Probably right there at 5, maybe 4. But at the same time, if she wins that national title, that is an icing on the cake to a great career to a great player we have seen in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But you mentioned about Maya Moore, Jared. That great point, dude. I'm glad you mentioned it. We can't forget about Maya Moore. She was a freaking beast. I'm gonna definitely say that. She was a beast. And we miss her on the floor now.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. She gets it done. I might move up a little bit, just a little bit, not too far up, but she, like I said, she still be considered one of the greatest of all time. But can't knock nothing from Caitlin Clark, man. She is phenomenal to watch. Phenomenal to watch. All right, before we get out of here, let's mention a couple of things also that happened last night. Southern University defeats LSU baseball at Alex Box Stadium 12-7. How shocked were you all when you saw the final score? I'll let George go first.
Stunned, because that's the same Southern that got run ruled at UNO last week. UNO punished them 12-2 at the Mace in advance of their series win over Incarnate Word this past weekend. But Southern going into Alex Box, this tells you the depths of LSU and where they have fallen to this point. They have lost 3 consecutive SEC series, got swept at Arkansas. Granted, they were all close. There were no blowouts against the number one team in the country. But yeah, if you're LSU, you got to pick your spots and get some wins. They haven't done that. VK, I was absolutely flabbergasted that Southern walked into LSU, and hung 12 runs on that LSU pitching staff. So what if it was a Monday night game? You don't have the offensive propensity to do that when they only scored 2 at UNO last week. And they I don't know, something must have been in the water for the Jags. And look, congratulations to Southern on a program-defining win against the reigning defending national champions. Let's give them that prop. I mean, let's just make this all about LSU slumping. Let's give the Jaguars some love, man. They went in there and they did their job and got a very famous result. What does that mean for them going forward? Who knows? It's baseball. It's one game in a long season. But congratulations to the Jags on getting it done, BK. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Southern, huge victory. They've been going through a lot of transition and everything these last couple of years, especially after
Roger Cater.
yeah, Roger Cater retired and new coaching staff
Mhm.
and everything else. But for them to get that win, that is huge for them after being run ruled by UNO and Nicholls State. They have been trying their best and everything. I think that might give them a lot of confidence going forward for them, especially in the SWAC conference. But for LSU, I mean, wow.
Soul
Bad all
searching.
around night. I mean, 4 straight losses. 4 straight. And you had to look at the weekend in itself. Everybody didn't do too well except for UNO and for Nicholls. Everybody else didn't have
Stunk.
really good series. They stunk up the joint before Easter. And for LSU, 4 straight losses. I tell you one thing, this is similar to last year, middle of the season, when LSU went on that big old swoon, and all of a sudden they turned it around late in the year. So I think Jay Johnson is gonna make some adjustments, but the pitching, it's not all that there for LSU, because LSU does have the offense, but the pitching just not there for the Tigers.
No, that offense, they can't hit. That's been the problem.
Yeah.
They can't hit. Yeah, that's been the problem. They
But they're
can't
not
hit.
running. But they're not running Paul Skeens out there either.
Well, that's the thing too, because the thing was, like they had to have some kind of they had to have some kind of offense. They in 2 games against Arkansas, they had a 5-1 lead and a 4-1 lead, and these people came back. I guess they got to get more offense than anything else, but that's significant leads there, Jared. So it's something outside of offense.
I hear what you're saying.
That's going on, you know.
But most of their games, they're not getting hit, and they even said it on WWL today. They talked about it. They're saying that they are not producing offensively like they need to be, and that's me looking at their stats and everything. That's what the first thing. Yeah, they ain't got Paul Beans and all of them. I get it. I get that. But man, gotta wake up too.
Because if you
gotta wake up too.
Yeah, because if you're up, yeah, but if you're up like leads like 4-1 or 5-1 against the number 1 team, defense and pitcher gotta have their back. Besides the offense, just to be honest, you have to score a lot of runs in the league.
I'm not.
But you gotta help out too.
I'm not.
Yeah.
With you, but you're going by games, 2 games that you saw, and I'm going by most of the games that I've seen, and the stats I've seen that they're not putting up hits. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got your games 5-1, 4-1. Yeah, of course. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but most of the games, offense has not been where it needs to
consistent.
be. They have not gotten the hits and the runs like they did last season. Go ahead, George.
I was gonna say they're not consistent offensively. They've not gotten the timely hit to finish a game. And, when you're leading, like VK's mentioning, like you guys are saying, 5-1, 4-1, when you've got those kind of leads and you get a chance to open it up and you don't, you're leaving yourself wide open for comebacks. And all I know is they had a stopper last year in Skeens. That dude every 4th day or third day, 5th day, he would go out there and just shove the baseball down the other team's throat and say, "Hey, here it comes. Y'all not going to touch it." But how do you all of a sudden not hit the baseball? Dylan Cruz is a guy I miss off this team, because Dylan Cruz was a table setter, but also an impact player in many different ways. Defensively, he covered a lot of ground, and you don't have him there now. The Nationals have him, and he's going to progress his way through their organization schemes with the Pirates. You don't have those dudes in Baton Rouge. Now, your boy, the heavyset fella that won the Tommy White.
Tommy White, okay.
Yeah. What has he done this year? Seems like that whole team has regressed offensively. It's not been the year LSU fans expect. Can it turn around? Sure. It's baseball. Baseball has ebbs and flows. LSU, if you're going to pick a time to stink, do it early, but this is the SEC. You can't afford to fall too far behind. You are now 2-7 in conference. That's not good. Find a way. And look, of all people, I'll give Jay Johnson all the love in the world. He could turn this thing around and push the right buttons. But it feels like they're just missing pieces. It feels like this is a team that is, 3/4 good? Maybe? I mean, they're not completely good. They've got good players, but they just don't, Jared. They don't have that killer mentality that they had last year, that we're going to beat the crap out of you and be done with it. They don't have that.
I agree. Now, one more thing before we get out of here. As you know, this is a bad night for Louisiana sports in a row, with LSU girls and LSU baseball losing. And now, the Pelicans got beat down by the Phoenix Suns. And yeah, no Brandon Ingram and no Jose Alvarado. And you know me, I see to tell everybody, you're not missing anything with Jose Alvarado. Might be missing with Brandon Ingram, but Jose Alvarez said nothing. But they got beat down last night by Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker with 52 points. And now Pelicans, they don't get something brewing. The Pelicans maybe once again be back in the play-in. And that's where they don't want to be. VK, what you got to say about it?
Devin Booker has scored a combined total of 114 freaking points in 2 games in New Orleans. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. I said it myself last week on the show. Even without BI, it don't matter because guess what? These 6 games is going to prove, are you worthy to be that team? Are you worthy? And so far, the Pels have shown none that they're not worthy. They're going to be being knocked down a little bit more, down the playoff standings and everything else. I think Brandon Ingram will make a nice return, a good addition that the Pelicans need. But at the same time, regardless, you have to take care of your business. You have to take care of your business. Like Zion Williamson said, like, man, we're getting so we get there. No, you got to get that attention the whole game. Phoenix was the game that they had to get the win. Phoenix is right there with them in the standings. It was a must win. And for them to not do what they got to do, and they wet the bed, and it looks like they might have a losing record. We'll see going forward with the 6-game homestand. Look like the 6-game homestand probably it's looking like disaster right now for the Pelicans, because if it was a push and I hate to say it, I think some of the media kind of overhyped this thing, and you just knew it was going to set up for failure, because you just know right then and there, this is the most up and down NBA team in the league. The Pelicans operate from ebbs and freaking flows. We don't know what kind of Pelicans team they're gonna have. Yeah, like one night, yeah, we hit threes, but against a team you're supposed to do against. But then you go against a team that's really, really good, and all of a sudden, close but lose. But then sometimes you go against Boston or against a team like Phoenix and you get smacked. Pelicans got still a long way to go.
Let me say this right quick. I'm gonna ask you a question first, VK.
Yes, sir.
How has the Philadelphia 76ers looked without Joel Embiid?
Very, 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 very different. At one point, you see your flashes, but then all of a sudden, you look different. But
so now I ask you this question. With Brandon Ingram being the Pelicans' best player, and you got other stars, and Zion, a superstar, and CJ McCollum, a star, do you think by missing their best player just a little bit can hurt, or is hurting due to the Boston and Phoenix and OKC these last 4 games?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna say it hurts a lot. It hurts a bit. It hurt a bit because of the fact of what BI does bring with them. But at the same time, when you have people like CJ and like Zion, you got to pick it up. You're the vets. You have to lead. You have to lead. You have to lead while everybody follows. You know what I'm saying? You have to step in. But it does hurt a bit that BI is not there. But at the same time, everybody else got to pick it up. There's times that the Pels did well without him. So the thing is, it ain't like you've done it before. It ain't like you haven't done it before. You did it before. Do it again. And it's the time you have to do it. Like I said, if the Pels, I would have took the Pels going 500 on this 6-game stand. I'd have took 500 because it just showed, all right, these guys are going against the best. They finished 500. They actually competed. Okay, I'll take that. but there's a chance they could go under 500 now. And you've seen chances that they could have did good and they didn't. So it's a two-edged sword with this one.
I'm gonna say this because when he got hurt, they still play teams they were supposed to beat, and they beat them. And now when you're playing these playoff teams in OKC and Boston and Phoenix and Milwaukee to beat, you didn't have your best player. That does hurt, but I'm not gonna make excuses for it because you have to find ways to. You didn't have Zion in the playoffs 2 years ago against Phoenix, and you won 2 games out of 4. You gotta find ways to win. So no excuses for it, but I want to say not having guy does hurt a little bit. But last night was just no effort, like no effort at all. I was the whole time because you know me, I'm not sold on the Pelicans. Yeah, I know that already. I know I'm not sold on the Pelicans. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that, I was like, what is that on? What supposed to get excited for? This close to the playoffs? Nah. You gotta give it better effort than that. Y'all could have lost to them maybe by 10 or 8. I'd have been like, oh, okay. But the effort was just, to me, was.
If I can interject, the last 3 times that we've seen Devin Booker play New Orleans, it's 58, 52, 52. That's 162 points. First of all, let me stop the nonsense that's being spewed. The Pelicans don't have a guy that can face up defend Devin Booker. Simple as that. Ain't nobody on that
was
roster. You could
Herb.
sit here.
Herb
Who?
Jones.
But they're not gonna put Herb on him
That
because
was
that
Herb
style's waiting to
Jones.
happen. Herb's a good defender, but come on, man. You got Devin Booker who can get his own shot, who's quick off the dribble. Man, no. They ain't got a dude that I'm not going to waste 5 fouls on because Herb would probably have to hack to stop that dude. Devin Booker is just that natural a shooter. But the Pelicans, it was an extremely disappointing effort last night. They could still get 500 on its homestand. They get Orlando tomorrow night. And Orlando away is not very good. And then they get the Spurs Friday night. They get the Spurs, which should be a win.
Yeah.
But ask the New York Knicks what happened a few days ago. Jalen went for 60. What was it? 61, but Victor went crazy, 44 and 20. I'm like, if they'd have undercut him once or twice, they'd have won that game. But I'm sorry, I'm playing that street ball here. But I mean, big ups to Victor Wembanyama for the year he's had. Great rookie. Everything is good. But here's a scenario I want you guys to partake in. Let's suppose, all right, because when you look at the schedule, and I'm looking at it as we speak, after this homestand, you go back to except for Portland, there ain't no gimmies.
We got
No, I'm here. You lose. I just got away from the screen so I can look at the schedule. But there's no gimmies except Portland, and even that's not. Well, it is a gimme because Portland's going to lay it down for the lottery. So whatever. But other than that, there's no gimmies on this schedule. But so now let's play this scenario. The Pelicans fall into the play-in, and they lose in the play-in. All right, regardless, 7, 8, whatever. Let's say they slide into the play-in and they lose. Is Willie Green's job at risk here? I'd say yes. Absolutely yes.
Yep.
Because this was supposed to be a year of progression, and it's going to finish as a year of regression. I like Willie Green. I like his motivational stuff, but it's about results. And if you go into these play-ins 8, 7, and you disappear without resistance, we got a problem. If I'm your GM, David Griffin, say, dog, I'm wasting these draft picks. Not wasting. I'm trying to upgrade this roster in every way I can. I've got the talent pool for you, and all you could give me is a play-in as beat down against Oklahoma City last year. And what happened the year before? I don't think they made it the year before. I think if I remember right, Zion was gone most of the year, and they were in the lottery. Right, but
no,
this was supposed to be the year.
They won 2 games and faced
and gave Phoenix trouble in the first round. But Devin Booker wasn't Devin Booker. You know, he wasn't the mature scorer leader that he is now. And Phoenix is a team that I'm fancying out of the West. I like what they bring. They've already got 2 wins against the Nuggets, the world champs, at their place. That's a team that could be very funny in the playoffs, and not for the teams that they got to play, because they could be very problematic with a healthy Bradley Beal, Durant, Booker, and Yusuf Nurkic is a guy that's don't sleep on. He could play. He's a good player.
Yeah.
But if I'm the Pelicans and I fall into the play-in and lose in the play-in, if I'm David Griffin, Willie Green's job is history. I mean, because this, guys, was supposed to be a year
I'm
of
not gonna say
we'll be in the
history,
top
but I'll
6.
say the hot seat.
The seat is extremely hot. I think it's going to get hotter because last night, the non-effort this team showed last night. Yeah, they made a superficial run at it in the fourth quarter, got it down to 7. But did you feel like they were going to complete the comeback? No, at all. There was no feeling like, yeah, they could do this. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel that at all. And I like Willie Green. And I hate to think turbulence can overcome, guys. I hate to think that question has to be broached. Is Willie Green's seat hot? Or does David Griffin pull the trigger and say, doggone it, this was supposed to be a top 6 team, healthy Zion, in shape Zion, can't help BI getting hurt. That happens. Injuries happen, but you got to find a way to overcome. Some teams do it, some teams don't. This team has not. Orlando's no gimme tomorrow night. They can win that. And then they should handle the Spurs, but don't let them lose to San Antonio because then my scenario might get a little bit sizzler, you know, because if the Spurs come in here and beat them, they ain't no gimmies except Portland and San Antonio. That's the only 2 games left on the schedule that have gimme on them. But as you saw, the Spurs handled the Knicks a few days ago, which, look, I'm a Knicks fan and I had to eat that L to you, Mr. Boyd. You know, I had to eat that L. But I think Willie Green's job is in grave jeopardy if they fall into the play-in and go out meekly in the play-in.
Well, we will see. We will see what happens. But it was not a good showing last night from the New Orleans Pelicans. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our show tonight. We will be back next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. We will have some guests next week. So make sure you all tune in. Tell your friend, your mom and daddy, tell your grandparents, tell everyone that you know to the Hash It Out show next Tuesday and next Wednesday at 7:30. Make sure you subscribe to the page, JB the Sports Guy. Also, we're on Instagram, the Hash It Out book, the Hash It Out show. Also, Twitter, or what they call it now, X. I'm there.
X.
So,
JB, your sports guy. You have the real VK Jones. George Peppers. Are you on X? You on Twitter?
Yep, George. Yeah, George Peppers. It's under my name, George Peppers.
yeah. So,
The man, the myth, the legend.
There it
That's
is.
what I'm talking about.
so
We're
no
all
show
on
tomorrow?
X. We're all on Twitter.
Yes.
You
Yeah, I
see,
didn't
VK?
know we had no show tomorrow. No show tomorrow?
Uh-oh.
No show tomorrow. No show tomorrow.
Okay,
No show
okay,
tomorrow. We'll
okay.
be back next
That-
week.
I have an idea for a guest, guys, and I want to address it with you when we go off the air.
Okay.
I will say this, I'll clue you in. This person has been a guest before. She's coaching in a national tournament right now. They're in the semifinals of the national tournament. It's someone we've had before.
Loyola.
Nope.
Loyola.
No, sir. Troy. They're in the semifinals of the WNIT. Stephanie Murphy, the assistant coach. We've had her on before.
Yeah.
I figured, they're in the semifinals. So, and if they continue, they just need 2 more wins to win a tournament championship. And a non-power 5 to win that tournament, that's not exactly unheard, but it's still a very monumental accomplishment. And she's only been there 1 year. This is 1 year. So if they win it, just a thought, gentlemen.
And also like saying we might as well just say who wins the women's and men's national championships, and we ain't got no show tomorrow.
Oh,
Right, quick.
fine.
Let's do it.
You know what I'm saying?
Do it.
Let's
You
do
go
it right
first.
quick.
You go first.
Me? Men's
Yeah.
side. Okay. Men's side, UConn.
Long Beach is not in the tournament, just before you pick.
Whatever. UConn repeats a national championship, and on the women's side, I'm gonna go with the South Carolina Gamecocks to finish undefeated.
For me,
I'm with
I will feel.
VK right now. I agree with VK. UConn men, South Carolina girls. In the Hash It Out Show bracket for the men's, George is in second place. He needs Purdue to win out to win.
Yes, sir.
I'm in fifth. Doesn't look good for me, but George is right there in second place, hoping Purdue wins out. But I have UConn men and I have South Carolina girls. Go ahead, George.
I'm gonna feel like a genius and an idiot at the same time. How? I had Purdue before the season. I told you guys, and I asked you guys about Purdue before the season. VK, you remember? I said, "Look, that's a team that's gonna be Virginia Part
Yeah.
2. I'm
All the
not
way
getting off."
then Lafayette.
Huh? Look, Zach Edey went for 40 the other day against Purdue against Tennessee, and Kinnick is a heck of a player, but I felt Purdue had the edge there. Now in the semifinals, they'll beat North Carolina State. Connecticut beats Alabama easily, and gets to the final, and we're going to set up for a very nice final. I'm going to go. Look, I'm steadfast. I'm going Purdue. On the women's side, South Carolina beats North Carolina State, and I'm going to take a swing. Gino Auriemma beats Iowa and denies Caitlinclark a potential
Yeah.
place in history. Connecticut's defense, I know the injuries are a concern, but they have overcome all that. They beat USC last night at their zenith. Connecticut does it again and gives Dawn Staley one hell of a test in the national championship, but Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks finish what they didn't finish last year. South Carolina and Purdue are my picks.
All right. And I'm going to say this. Tulane has hired their new women's basketball head coach, Ashley from Stony Brook. Maybe we can try and get her on the show too. We'll see.
They
That'd be interesting.
actually got a press conference coming up on Tuesday at 1 p.m. I don't know what your schedule is. I know I have to go to BR to do a broadcast, but they have a press conference at Tulane for 1 p.m.
Next Tuesday
to introduce the new coach and everything. But at the same time, I don't know if I'll make it, but I could definitely talk with Tulane, and hopefully we can try to set something up to try to have Langford on the show soon. I'm glad you mentioned it, Jared. That was the next thing I was gonna actually say, but I'm glad you beat me to it. You know what I'm saying? It was an interesting
That's what
search.
CEOs do.
Yeah, they had an interesting search. Even Tamika Reed out of Jackson State was interviewed. So there was some interesting candidates.
Yeah.
So it was some interesting candidates, but Ashley Langford, new head coach. But we'll try to get her on the show soon.
Definitely. Like I said, we'll be back next Tuesday and next Wednesday at 7:30. PK Jones, George Pepper, JB the Sports Guy. Click that subscribe button to the JB the Sports Guy YouTube page. The Real VK Jones YouTube page. Click those buttons, ladies and gentlemen, and be back with us right here next week on. Y'all take care.